Breaking news. And I do want to credit Scott for this because I did get that update from you, Scott. I was going to go through the news anyway, so we're just going to kind of check things out here and go through our regular news cycle there. There's a lot of crazy news going on all over the world, and so we're just trying to keep up with it. But what you sent me there is creepy. What does this mean? I got to figure it out. So we're going to figure it out together. I didn't want to go really deep into it before I alerted everybody because I don't have that much time and it's late. But we're going to go look at it right now. Look at this. Okay, so this person, look at this. This person says they've been in aviation for 23 years. I've never seen anything like this. We're going to read some of the comments there in just a minute. But I want you to look at what's happening here. So all of these airport closures, this is Atlanta. Oops. This is Atlanta. Airport closure. BOS. This is DFW. This is, I guess this would be Dallas-Fort Worth. Dan, I don't know all the call letters here, but these are all major airports. JFK, LAS, Las Vegas, I think. That's Las Vegas. LAX, down below. ORD. These are all closed airport closures. I don't know if this has anything to do with, and it says here like closed to GA, ACFT, let's see, medical, law enforcement, firefighting, military ops, or unless authorized. So I guess these are all the ones that are allowed. Everything else is being shut down. This NOTAM may be canceled earlier or extended as operational needs require. So it's a NOTAM, right? It's a NOTAM, notice to all airmen not to fly, right? This is happening all over the country. What in the world is this? Okay, so I was looking at a video earlier today, or this afternoon, late afternoon. BP Earthwatch, he kind of does a lot of stuff like where he looks at solar. He tracks the solar stuff that's going on with flares and different things that have to do with the sun. And there's other channels that do this too. But he was saying that he had never seen in his memory, because he always looks at this stuff, that this X-class flare that just went off on the sun, he said he's never seen anything on the graphs that had to do with this solar wind being so strong. For a solar flare that was only an X5, I think it was an X-class 5, which is a very large solar flare, and it's Earth directed, but that the solar winds are coming at such a very fast click. It's like overtaking the other solar flares that went off previous. So there's other solar flares that have actually gone off, and hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. And so these solar flares, have gone off prior to this, are being overtaken by this X-class. That's how fast the winds are going. And he showed the graph, and he's somebody that looks at this all the time. So I was thinking that's kind of odd that he would say that. And then this, so I'm wondering, and I'm looking in the comments here. I'm looking at the comments and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on here? Because I'm not an expert in this. So like I said, I'm looking at this with you guys at the same. I just saw this like a few minutes ago. So people are saying, what are we looking at? Chris says the first two words in those paragraphs, which is closures, right? Maybe everyone should be at home for the next possibly closing act. People are like apocalyptic, really. I think something could possibly take place, question mark. Rhonda says, gotta shut down the economy somehow. And then somebody said typo of ADQ. I don't know what that means. Is it just because the solar storms are happening? People really don't need to travel. Can't read the small print. We saw it during 9/11. This is yet another distraction. It's slowly happening. Say thank you to Schumer and the Democrats. Okay, so they're blaming the Democrats. But this could be something completely different. But it does, I think it may have something to do with the shutdown because it's still... I mean, has that completely been finalized? I mean, this is another thing, is they put within the bill something about THC, which would ban cannabis all throughout the, from what I understand, they snuck it into the bill right at the last minute, which I think was, they were trying to hold up. I don't know if that went through or not, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. This one says, I have taken a screenshot and mortgaged it, and I still can't read what it says. Could you possibly tell us all? Okay. Yeah, and I've looked at it. It's basically encoded. There's a lot of coding in there because that's just kind of what they do with the codes for, you know, people that are at the airport. But a lot of that is basically saying these airports are shut down. And then it goes on. Someone else says, the Earth's grid needs to close down to switch everything over to Starlink. Let's see what else. There's more comments here. Let's go through some more. It says, still can't read. Why are they all closed? 6 replies. Let's look at the replies. The Earth's grid needs to close down to switch everything. No, that's the... Someone says, no pilots, crew not showing up because of the government shutdown. This was 4 hours ago. So didn't they resolve this? I don't even know. I haven't really been... I thought, but well, they figured it out. It's good. Maybe they're... But I've been hearing stuff about it possibly not having turned out the way, because, you know, supposedly Rand Paul threw a wrench into it or something. We're going to look at this. It says government's back open now, so I guess things are okay to travel, right? Okay, so that's what I was thinking. But I've been hearing other things that something else is going on. But somebody said, do you think it's safe to fly? My son's girlfriend has tickets to go to Florida for a concert. We are in Pennsylvania. They will head out from Baltimore, Maryland. Spirit Philly is okay. So I don't know. I wouldn't fly. I do not think I would be going out of the country presently. Wouldn't every airport around the world need to close too? Nothing is happening here in Canada, that's in Canada, except they're killing us and our animals slowly. Scott, did you see what she said? That has to do, that's a reference to the poor ostriches. and just the governments around the world are trying to kill their people off anyway. Let's see. 1031? What do you mean dates 1031? Where does it say 10? Oh, 1031 would have been October 31st. That can't be. Does it say 1031 on there? Man, if it does, then we're way. No, it doesn't say 1031, does it? Or does it say 1031? I don't even think I don't think these airports have ever been closed down like this. This is probably the first time. I don't see no 1031. What is he talking about? I was trying to find some dates on here too, but there is no dates. It's just times. This has to be right now. It says closed to non-transient. I don't know. I can't see that. It says closed to GA, ACFT, non-sched. Oh, non-scheduled. ACFT. I don't know what that means. Executive-based ACFT. Emergency medical. This is the same thing that LAX is saying. Law enforcement, firefighting, military ops, or unless authorized by ATCSCC. This NOTAM may be canceled earlier or extended as operational needs require. Now, this NOTAM went out at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would have been only about an hour and a half ago. Let's just take a look at some news and see what's going on here. I haven't looked at the news or anything like, I mean, in relationship to this. I haven't done any searches or anything, so I don't personally know if there's something else going on here that we don't know about. I kind of just got on the computer within the last hour. Airports closed. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. One day ago, let's see. "44 minutes ago, okay, here we go. National Airspace System, Federal Aviation Administration. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this. What the heck? So this is where, this was 3 minutes ago. Oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? What in the world? Look at all these airport closures. What is going on here? Does anybody know what's going on here? Can you tell by just reading this? This is the actual screenshot that lady had put up. View details. Let's look at the details. Okay, so this was just updated 3 minutes ago. George Bush International Houston is closed. What? Okay, I'm looking at your comments because I have no idea what I'm looking at. You guys tell me what you think. What do you guys think? What is going on? Anybody know? Okay, darting ground. Okay, you gotta do some research on this. Okay, so here it's now. This is the FAA.gov. This is NAS. NAS. Here, I'll send you the link. Look that up right now. This was just updated. Let's see what are the 44 minutes ago. Airport delays likely to linger after government disable your ads. Forget it. More than 800 flights have been canceled as the FAA orders airlines to reduce service at 40 of the nation's busiest airports amid the government shutdown. That was 57 minutes ago. Dulles flight status. This is Washington Dulles International Airport. It says I don't see any measure. You know, banners are telling us this is shut down or anything. Are we just freaking out here for no reason? 6 minutes ago, flight delays. Okay, so this is all they are talking about this right now. So this is something that's being talked about. This was posted. Okay, this was earlier. Maybe there was an update here. Look at this. Flight cuts amid shutdown could threaten supply chain holiday deliveries. What is this? Oh, that was 2 days ago. That was before they opened up. So that's all supposedly remedied. Is everything fine now? Everything should be fine, right? Okay, so this was earlier. I just have this gut feeling like something is not right. There's something not right, and I don't have the time to really delve into it, in terms of my own research. Things are not gelling here. Something's not right. Something's not right. I can't put my finger on it. I know there's a lot of things that I'm looking at right now, but the U.S. pilot's unexpected rant. So somebody on a U.S. pilot made a rant on a packed plane. Let's see. They got video of this. Let's see. Oh, they do. They got video of this. Let's see what he said. This is a U.S. pilot, really frustrated. Pilot goes into unexpected rant before takeoff. Let's listen and see what he said.
Political persuasion is, but you should really call your senator, because I'll tell you, this is costing the airlines millions of dollars. And just think of 30 airplanes with one engine running, and it's going to take us at least 90 minutes to take off. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating for me, because right now it's going to cost about 2 hours of our lives on the ground before we even take off, spend all that gas, all that money, and it just rolls into the rest of this system. So right now we're at a 4% reduction in flight capacity. Next week we go to 10. Last night I had a 6-hour delay in Houston, and the weather was perfect. It's because the air traffic controllers aren't getting paid.
So that was just posted just within the last few hours. That says 12. That says November 12th. That was 5:40 p.m. in Australia. This is an Australian newspaper. Did you see that video where this person was asleep at the wheel on a train and the train almost crashed and she's sitting there sleeping? Did you see that? Look at this. Like it's a good thing she woke up. I don't know if that's a train or is that a tram. I don't know what that is. Is that a tram? I don't know if that's a train. Anyways, I'm not sure exactly what is going on here. Let's go back over here. This is where we got this. Let me look at your chat room here and see if we got any updates here. Does anybody know what's going on? I'm looking at the chat right now. Where did that darting around guy go? Darting around, what the heck is going on? Tell me. So, prepping for combat air patrol? What does that mean? Due to major attack in Caribbean? What? Do you want to call in? Do you want to call? Why don't I have? You know what I'll do? I'll call you if that's the same number. Can I call that same number? We'll get you on the air and let's talk. Let me just hear what you're thinking on this, because I'd rather just hear you talk. Just out of curiosity, is that okay? Let me see here. Let me see. Is that okay? Okay. I'll just call you right now. I think this is the same number. Let me see if I saved it, but I'm not sure because there's a whole bunch of people that called in and wasn't sure if this was the right number, but let me see. Is this the right number?
Hello.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, so tell me what you think is going on here because I have no idea.
Yeah. So what I think they're doing is they're clearing the airspace because you have now all the assets in place in the Caribbean for Venezuela. And
That's what I was thinking too because they just moved an aircraft carrier, a big one, right?
yeah, they have the Ford, and now the Ronald Reagan just cleared into the Caribbean. So I would say probably within the next 48 hours, and the air traffic controller does have a lot, with the shutdown because the shutdown is still going. I mean, the government's not open yet.
How long does it take for it to actually open? Because I heard there was like some wrenches that are being thrown in the whole process.
Well, yeah. So one of the senators had put in the bill that the FBI, if any congressional members are under FBI investigation, they have to notify that congressional member first, which is lunacy. And so now,
What do you mean by? I'm not exactly sure what that even means. What he has to notify?
Okay. Yeah. So let's say you're a congressional member and you have been selling classified documents to a foreign power.
Okay.
And the FBI finds out about it. Before they start an investigation on you, they have to physically notify you that they're going to be investigating you. That was actually slipped into this bill.
Oh, wow.
And so this bill now goes to the House. The package bill goes to the House, and then the House has to vote on it. And if it passes the House, then it goes to the president, which
now when you say it's lunacy, what do you mean?
Well, if you as a private citizen, if you're under investigation by the FBI, they don't pick up the phone and call you and say, "Hey, you're under investigation."
Right.
So this is the lunacy. So what I believe this is what they're trying to do is to find out what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are doing.
The Democrats put this in because they're trying to okay, I gotcha. And I heard there was other stuff that was put in there too, like the whole THC thing with
that's
marijuana.
For Kentucky. Yeah, that's in Kentucky.
Oh, I thought that was nationwide.
No, this is for Kentucky. Rand Paul is wanting to get rid of, or no, Rand Paul put it in there to allow for the THC. Then Mitch McConnell come back because the bourbon lobbyists don't want the hemp to be legally grown in that inside Kentucky.
So the reason I'm bringing that up, and people are probably wondering why we're even talking about that, but it's kind of a wrench, isn't it? A wrench in the bill to actually get it to go through?
Correct. And what they wanted was a clean bill to just get the government open.
Right.
And these guys in Congress, they can't help themselves because they're getting all this money from all these PAC groups and major donors to. Now, me personally, I think this is orchestrated to
Yes.
keep the government shut down.
Yes, and maybe it's foreign powers that have in some way compromised some of these senators, and they're just paying them off to just destroy the country.
Well, absolutely, and and sadly, I think one of the big players that have a lot of dirt on congressional members is Israel, because the Israeli government keeps wanting our congressmen and senators to keep funding them and to keep sending them, military equipment.
So I talked about this interview with Alex Jones and General Flynn. You saw that, right?
Correct.
What do you think about that? Because he's talking about something really bad happening, like really soon.
Well, and I know you followed the whole Q thing, right? And, in 4chan, it talks about talked about an alien invasion. Well, I don't think alien invasion was an alien invasion. I think the alien invasion is AI, artificial intelligence, and what all they're doing.
Well, it is kind of alien in a way, because I think it's demonic.
Correct. Right, exactly. Oh, absolutely, because you can see some of these videos and some of these pictures, like they just put out a picture of Joe Biden because they say he's going through radiation or chemotherapy, and they showed a picture of his head, and and it's so hard to say anymore what's real and what's AI generated, because the public technology has come so far. So that within our spy agencies and within the military, it's probably tenfold what they can do. But yeah, this whole ground stop, me personally, I think the air traffic controllers and the pilots, I think that's a very good cover story for something that is in preparation to happen. Now, the message I sent to a buddy at the Defense Intelligence Agency, he said the last time that they seen this was right after 9/11 started to happen. They started doing ground stops and closures. But for them to do this prior, is they're more likely trying to clear the airspace for a combat air patrol, which is if we attack Venezuela or whoever in the Caribbean, they want to make sure that the airspace is clear.
Yeah, because I'm getting indications, like just from looking at the little bit that I have, that we're on the precipice of having a conflict now with Venezuela. Now it looks like it's almost imminent.
Right. Well, Maduro sent a cable to the Secretary of State saying, hey, I will leave as long as I can leave and take some of my top people with me. And from my understanding, the State Department told him to go pound salt.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So why? They just want to kill him?
Well, I think that I think a lot of this is going to go towards the 2020 because of the machines in some of the server farms being housed in Venezuela.
Oh, you're talking about the Dominion.
Yes, correct. And so if they are going to prove this, which I think they are, they have to have, solid, because they just put a ghost ship down off the coast of Venezuela. And a lot of people, some people may not know what a ghost ship is. So what they did is the U.S. Navy converted an old cargo vessel, and they turned it into a major a special operations boat.
Yeah, I
to
saw that,
where-
and I talked about that ship, that
Correct.
they're kind of monitoring it. So if it's a ghost ship, everybody knows what it is because it's all over social media. It's not like, and they even got
Correct.
pictures of it.
Yeah, correct. And it's been when I was in the community in '96 to 2000. We've had those. I mean, we took like the USS Kamehameha, which is an old converted boomer. We turned that the Navy turned that into a spec op boat, to where you can have miniature submarines attached to it that are all hydro propelled. They're called SDV, swimmer delivery vehicles. So this isn't something new. To the masses it is, but there's probably guys in country right now mapping out targets, finding different, if somebody will say within the White House wants to get eyes on something, they'll drop in a team, and like we did in Iraq prior to the second Gulf War, to get soil samples to see if they were actually any NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical, in that area.
So let me ask you this: so you think that he was actually trying to get out of the country, and yet they didn't want him to step down? Why? They want to just obliterate everything, or what?
Well, because I don't think they wanted him to end up like Bashar al-Assad and head over to Russia.
Oh, gotcha.
Because Russia and China has been floating in all kinds of weapons into Venezuela, and we can't have them do a stronghold in the Caribbean, because then we'll be looking at another Cuban Missile Crisis, and some of these players are crazy enough to, pull it off. And, if they're getting ready to do an operation inside of Mexico, this could be another reason why they're shutting all these airports down, because the intelligence community probably has verifiable information that, they could start hijacking aircraft.
Yeah, I think we're on the precipice of something going on all throughout Central and even going on, because I think there was a statement by Nicaraguan president as well, and the Mexico. I mean, it's probably going to be all the way down. I mean, you've got Colombia now stating that they were making another statement to stop bombing boats, and then
Correct.
So it looks like it's like all over. Like, is it going to be like a massive war or what?
Well, I believe it's going to be a multi-pronged, because just for the simple fact that you start seeing Central Command and them pulling troops back to the United States quietly, and you start seeing, because I thought in the very beginning that when Trump was calling up all these National Guard, and he was federalizing them and putting them into certain cities, because they had actionable intelligence that something major was going to kick off. And if you start doing stuff like they did in Iraq with car bombs and that, it's going to freak the American populace out, and they're not going to know what to do. And, just speaking with some of the local sheriffs and law enforcement that I'm tied into, they during their morning briefs, they know something is coming, because they keep getting notices from DOJ, telling them, hey, just be extra vigilant, because they're expecting something to take place.
That's what General Flynn was saying, and he was talking about thousands of events that could destabilize America with these types of soft targets. Because there's probably a lot of teams that are already prepared for this moment, and they're just waiting for something to go down to get the word or whatever, whoever it is that's here.
Right.
I mean, they were let
Yeah.
in.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you can always tell when something major is about ready to kick off because Trump goes extremely quiet. You know, he really hasn't. I mean, he has. I mean, he's put out about this $2,000 a dividend check, but he's really quiet. And
He did the Laura Ingraham thing. He did the Laura Ingraham thing. That was kind of weird.
Right. And with all these other things going on. Look, everyone's focused on Congress right now. And just like with the EBT issue, right? The Supreme Court just come out yesterday and said Donald Trump does not have to fund SNAP because we don't have a functioning government right now. He is the chief executive. He doesn't have to move forward with this. And even one of the most liberal justices, Ketanji Brown, she even stated, we don't have a functioning government. So that puts the onus of everything on Trump's shoulders.
Now, isn't it functioning now that they've supposedly passed this bill?
No, because it still has to go to the House.
Oh, I thought it was already. I thought the House already passed it. No.
No, they sent the bill to the Senate, and then the Senate went through and ripped everything apart. Well, in order for it to go to the president's desk, it has to go back to the House for a vote.
Oh.
And then once the House votes on it, then it goes to the president, which I look for him to veto it. I don't.
Really?
I don't. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But it may not even pass the House. Do you think?
Correct. It very well possibly couldn't.
Oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. This is why I think this war is about to go down too right now, because there is too much going on, and then you've got all the other stuff going on in the Middle East and in Russia, and there's just so many things that potentially could go like blow up in our face here.
Well, and here's the thing with the Russian-Ukraine war that I don't quite get. Now, yes, there is a war going on, but either the Russians are extremely stupid or something is off with it. Because do you remember?
Or they're patient. Maybe they know we're about to implode.
Well, and there's probably going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on this, but I believe Putin and Trump are kind of working together. Just because some of the meetings that Putin and Trump had, you could see where Putin or Trump has given each other something, and in my community we call that tradecraft. Like, do you remember when Putin gave Trump the soccer ball in his first term, and Putin and Russia basically told him the ball's in your court now? Okay, so I believe that was intelligence that the KGB and the G helped get rid of the quote-unquote deep state. And, like with Hegseth calling all these admirals and generals back, you don't do that for a pep rally. I believe, just based on the conversations that I've had with people, that the military, the top echelon, was being read on to the program of what was going to happen. And if they didn't adhere to it or didn't want to go by the Constitution, then they were relieved of their commands. And Trump just signed the commission of 21 new officers, flag officers. So that means at least 21 of them got dismissed.
And they got
because there's
dismissed
only
while they were
so
while they were there. They didn't.
at that meeting. Correct.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
Correct.
now is it because they didn't show up, or it's because they
Oh
disagreed, or
no,
something?
no, they were there because either they didn't want to go along with the program, or uh, some of the military law enforcement, military intelligence had information on them that they were selling the country out. Because I believe this goes like a heck of a lot deeper than politicians. I think it goes to military. I think it goes to some of the military contractors.
What did you
Uh,
think? Did you happen to see the interview with Trump and Ingram when she got a tour of the White House? Did you see that?
no,
Okay, so what happens is he takes her through a tour. I think this was last night, or anyways, he takes her through a tour and he shows her the presidential walk of the presidential walk. He's got all these pictures of every president of the United States on this long hallway, and
Right.
and then he has the two of Obama and Biden,
Biden.
and Biden's
The
picture
auto
is
pen.
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
and
So-
he made a point to shame them both again,
Correct.
like right on the national
Well-
television.
Right. So when I first seen that, the Hall of Presidents is what they call it, that they had Biden's picture up there as an auto pen, I thought it was AI. So I text one of my buddies that work at the White House at the Secret Service, and I said, "Hey, there's no way that your boss put a picture of an auto pen up on the wall." And he said, "Yes, it's absolutely there."
Yeah, it's there. I saw it tonight
And-
on Fox News.
Right. And so that's that alone is there's going to be some type of constitutional crisis, and this is where I think it lies. Is with the Obama or the Biden administration, that the Supreme Court's if the Supreme Court doesn't address it, then I think the military is going to have to address it, because they're constitutionally obligated to do that. Because like the auto pen, when a president wants to use an auto pen, there are specific procedures that have to be done. Everything is serialized. The auto pen has to be signed out. It's everything, how many you did, what it was for. And normally they just use that for like mass lettering. Like, let's say that there are 500 people that got selected to go to the Olympics, and the White House wants to send out this letter. That's when they would use the auto pen. But when it comes to anything dealing with legislation or national security, you can't use an auto pen. It has, and this is why I think every time Trump signs something, he shows it. He's instilling that, hey, I'm actually signing this,
Right.
because that's just like, I can tell you during when DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6, when they went in to kill bin Laden, that night I was told by a buddy that works in the PIOC, the Situation Room at the White House, that the authorization for the killing of bin Laden didn't come from Barack Obama. The authorization for that operation came from Leon Panetta and from Hillary Clinton. Now,
Really?
the biggest problem with that is the Joint Chief can, because if you remember, Barack Obama was at a dinner and he made a joke about killing Osama bin Laden. And that's going to be an issue, along with some of the stuff that happened in Benghazi, that's going to take down the Obama administration. Now, because for Jim Comey, I said, hey, how are they leaking out evidence on a sealed indictment? He said, well, Guantanamo. And I was like, what?
Somebody wants me to ask you this.
Sure.
Somebody wants me to ask you that it could, and I've heard people speculate that this could possibly be some kind of angelic thing happening. But somebody says, do you think that it's or Jesus returning?
No, I think it's a calculated scare.
Yeah, it's some kind of distraction, maybe, or
yeah. Well, they are trying to root something out. I think it's, I'm not quite sure on, space, and I'm no like flat earther or anything, but they went to the moon, what, in 1968, whatever the year was. And anything, right, that was on that shuttle, but the government says it's far too expensive to go to the moon again.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all.
No, I do have a very strong gut feeling that we're on the precipice of something huge.
Yeah. What that is, who knows? But
right,
so do you think this is studio?
And you can look it up for yourself as part of an executive order that Trump wrote.
Really?
In his first term, where the Special Operations Command asked for presidential permission to use artificial intelligence, deep fakes, and synthetic rubber mask as part of an ongoing operation. And the president signed off on it. And this was under Chris Miller, who was the acting Secretary of Defense at the time, prior to Trump leaving office. So, and you don't write an executive order unless you're planning on executing it. And then right before or right after Trump came in on his second term, he wrote an executive order that within the first 30 days of his second term, if he needed to, he can invoke the Insurrection Act, which I think he's already done. This is why, I think Congress is shut down. This is why I think you're starting to see some opinions come out of the U.S. Supreme Court that are favorable towards Trump. Because, shortly after J6, there was and I'm sure you're familiar with her, there was a YouTuber named Nancy Drew. And Nancy
Drew is that book from the sleuths. Wasn't she like a sleuth?
Correct. Yeah, there's a girl, and I forget what her name is, but she was filming in DC shortly after J6, and she had filmed to where there were multiple number of Suburbans that had pulled up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. And there were military officers that got out of those Suburbans and went into the Supreme Court. And
I think I remember something like that. I think I remember that.
Yeah, and so there is zero reason why a judge advocate general would go to the U.S. Supreme Court, because they're two totally separate bodies. The military operates off the UCMJ, where the Supreme Court is supposed to operate off the U.S. Constitution. So my thought on that is the only reason the military would have to go there is if they were informing the U.S. Supreme Court that we're in continuity of government, and the military is basically running the show.
So if this is true, then what is going on with this whole theatrics here with this bill? If everybody knows this, or do they not know it? Does the Democrats not know this is happening, or what?
Well, I believe they do know what's going on, and I believe that congressional members have been informed by the JAG attorneys that, hey, you're going to do what we tell you, when we tell you, how we tell you. If you don't, then treason's on the table because of your theatrics with selling the country out. And it's just, putting certain things together that do not make sense, that in a normal world wouldn't happen. Just like, do you remember when Biden was in office and he was given a press conference, and one of the news broadcasters asked the press secretary at the time, why are we not in the Oval Office? Why are we across the street at OEOB at a stage? Now, why would you not, if you have the most powerful office in the land across the street from OEOB, which is the White House, why are you conducting business at OEOB when you don't have to set up a stage? You have the real thing right there. That just, to me, shows that something is definitely in the works. And
you're talking about when Biden was in office, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, because I remember that, and it was almost like a production theater type White House. Yeah. So, but see, that just shows that they were, and this is the whole thing that I've always got in the back channels about this whole idea that Trump was still in control, or the military at least was in control, and that this was all, why were they playing out this role? Why would they play out this corrupt role and take so much, if it was truly being regulated from the back end?
Right. Well, I do believe that, there was a shadow government being ran. And at that time, some of the major players didn't know exactly what was going on. They knew that something was off just by my conversations that I've had with people that worked at the security portion of the White House. Even they knew something was wrong, that certain things, certain procedures weren't being done that had normally had been done throughout, other administrations. But my contention is if they would have hit the American people with this all at once, it would have been chaos. To where now, if you just rip this stuff out to people, they can easily absorb it. Because I believe you can turn on the news media now and they're lying to us about everything. And there's a segment of the population that believe everything that the TV tells you.
Yeah. So where do you think this is going to go here? You think in the next 48? I think that something big is going to happen too within the next 48 hours or so.
Absolutely.
It's got to be the way things are shaping up here. But if this all, because I noticed. Did you see Obama was in the news today?
Yes.
Did you see how he was on that plane and he was making that little statement? Yeah. I think that was kind of him trying to get in front of something. Like he wants his image out there to be, oh, he's a good patriot. He loves our vets. Right.
Well, right, exactly, and and they just had that Ilhan Omar on there where she made the statement on the House floor about she necessarily may not want to stay in America, and a comment was made by Mike Johnson. Well, like, hey, we can send you back to where you came from because you may not be here willingly.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen. How they knew ahead of time they had to get out.
Correct.
There's no way they were going to stick around. Right. They had to get out because they knew what was coming.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And
I don't think a lot of movie stars understood really what was coming down the pike, but they did.
Well, no, and and here's the thing about Trump. He makes some of the most outrageous statements, but they always seem to come true. Like in the beginning, after Trump lost the election, he kept coming out and telling people, "Hey, they stole the election. We caught them. We caught them all. And I believe they did. And, because General Flynn, being former DNI, he knows where a lot of the bodies are buried. And I think
now,
that's
why do you think this is what I want to ask you too, and being just your opinion on this? Like, so I listened to this interview with Alex and Flynn, and I don't know, did you hear it?
I heard segments of it. I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Okay, so did you get the feeling from Flynn that not only does he think that everything that's going on with Patel and Bongino are they're incompetent, they're not. He didn't really say it like that because he obviously likes
Correct.
them, they're friends of his, but that they don't really know what they're doing is basically what he said, and that Trump is not acting fast enough on things that need to be done because things are actually getting out of control and away from his control, and that because of that we're about to see some really bad things go down.
Well, in a sense, I kind of agree with General Flynn. But General Flynn, I personally believe he wants to see the military take action because
Right.
there would be no politics. And, you have to think, the president is nothing more than a figurehead. It's all the puppets down below and that are actually truly making a lot of the decisions. Now, Kash Patel, he was with Devin Nunes. He was one of the ones that, originally found out about Russiagate and about how they were trying to set up Trump. Do I think I don't know him personally. Now, the deputy director, I've had some interaction with him, and I know he's pretty stand-up, Dan Bongino. One of my buddies who is very, very high up in the U.S. Secret Service, he works with him very closely, and, he had told me about a meeting that they had at the White House where Bongino was going to resign because he thought somebody was covering something up. And it turned into a shouting match at the Oval Office to where, they had.
Well, that was in the news. That was actually
Correct.
in the news. I did hear that in the news, but what was that shouting? Who was it that he thought was covering something up? Trump?
No, Pam Bondi.
Bondi?
Yeah, and it was over the Epstein because I think there's. I think there's
But
going to
Trump
be some
Trump doesn't
connection.
want that out either, and he's the one that's telling everybody that they're, this is the whole thing. If you listen to that Ingram interview, she sounded like she was putting his feet to the coals. She was asking him some hard
Correct.
questions, and it was almost like he, especially with the the illegal, or not the illegal aliens, but the ones that are coming over on the visas that are.
Right.
Anyway, a lot of Americans don't like that, and he's
Correct.
saying that we're not skilled enough to do certain jobs, that we need these people, and a lot of them are Chinese, and you got to kind of wonder about that. But at one point, he was against that. But what do you think that? I mean, is it really Trump that is he's pulling? He's the one that's in charge. So I mean, all of this
Right.
with the Epstein thing, especially when he says that it's MAGA's fault or that we're stupid idiots for believing the Democrats and this is a hoax.
Right.
Come on. That's that's
Well, I personally don't believe that they can release the Epstein files, and here's why.
why?
Yes, because I think that those Epstein files are going to implicate so many congressional members, so many business leaders, so many military personnel that we would not have a functioning government, that it would be a complete collapse. And it's going to, some of our closest allies are going to be implicated in it. So it
Yeah,
would
I've
have
heard
to
that too.
be-
I have heard that. And it makes sense. I mean, if it's truly an operation that compromised and that's why there is a control over,
Right.
it seems like everybody says Israel controls everything.
Well, and you know, the for me personally, I don't think really I have any right to know about the Epstein list because I wasn't involved in it and any of that. But I don't know. I think it goes way too deep.
All right, so I'm getting it's kind of late, but I wanted to just ask one more question before we leave. So what do you make of this shutdown of all this airports? Do you think that are they completely shut down, or is this like, I mean, are they offline now? Is that what this is saying?
Well, I think it looks like there's still some air traffic, but I don't think they're
and why would they be
allowing-
doing this? Because you think that it has something to do with possible.
Well, a ground stop, like they did after 9/11, it possibly so they could do a combat air patrol over the United States. That because it's really not that far, the Caribbean to here, where if we have foreign submarines or vessels off our coast that they couldn't strike if we strike Venezuela. And so they would want to keep the airspace pretty much clear, so if there's any type of engagement, they could do it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I thought maybe, we could kind of look into this and figure out what's really going on there. But I do think we're on the precipice, and I wanted to just let everybody know that we're very close to something big going down. And it's always good to get different perspectives, and I always like to try to figure out what's happening. And it sounds like you've got a lot of knowledge and background, and there's a lot of people out here that listen to me that know things, and I kind of just keep my ears open. But really the whole focus, this can just cause you to have a headache, sitting here listening, thinking about all this stuff. But I know some people just really do get into the depths of what's really going on there. But I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to find out.
We'll just have to sit back and figure out what's going to happen.
Well, interesting. So, yep, I appreciate your time, Jeff, and a lot of people like to listen to you. I see that you've been on other channels, and I've been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never even knew who you were.
Yeah, I have myself, and then I have a lot of detractors as well. But that's
I'm sure everybody does. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this. I had this thought I wanted to ask you when I had you on the other day after I found out that you were. Your background. I was kind of thinking, what do you think about that guy Mike from Around the World? Just out of curiosity, do you know him?
I've never seen him. No,
you never seen him. But you never talked to him or anything. You don't know who he is.
No.
Okay. I was just wondering because he kind of has, and I'm not saying I'm not in any way making a parallel conversation or a parallel illustration with you, but I was just wondering if you knew who he was because he's talked a lot about different topics, but I think that you're more tapped into what's really going on with the government stuff from what I can tell.
I worked in the community, so I've been out for a few years, but you can see stuff that's going on that makes no sense.
Right. Absolutely. A lot of things don't make sense. And that's why, I really appeal to the God of heaven to really make sense of it, because it is a crazy world. And when you really start looking at the reasons for why people do what they do, it's like, how do you make sense of evil? How do you make sense of terrible things that happen in the world? And really you have to have a perspective, I think, that goes beyond just, natural reason and really appeal to a higher, and I will say a consciousness, but I don't mean it in a new age way. I do believe God is the ultimate reason for why we even exist, and really what the future of the world is, is what the future holds for the world, and really everyone in it. And we all have a destiny to, ultimately, and I think we all have choices that we make that ultimately shape that destiny. But all the things that happen on Earth, I mean, whether it's politics or business or the things that people are into, whether it's criminal activity, I mean, it's just ultimately God is watching everything, and He knows every little detail of every little thought that every little person has on the planet. so ultimately, we all got to give an account to Him. So in the end, it's all gonna be. It all
shakes out.
Exactly. So that's why I don't worry about it, and I just trust God.
No. All right,
but it's
sir.
good to talk with you again, Jeff. God bless.
Yep, same to you. Thank you.
Okay, take it easy. So that was Jeff, and it does kind of have an interesting conversation here with all this stuff that's going on. I just am so blown away at where this is all going, guys. I mean, we all are, looking at all of these events and trying to make sense of what's happening, and that's why I really focus my attention on my faith, and I think the faith that really is going to overcome this world, and all the kingdoms of the world ultimately have to give they're going to have to bow before the King of Kings, whether they're willingly bowing or whether they're doing it out of, just because they have to. Ultimately, it is a ultimate judgment that's going to come upon the whole world, and everybody has to give an account for what they did. Every nation, every king, every human is going to have, and every demon is going to have to bow to. Isn't that crazy? So, but that whole thing. Somebody asked me a question about the Atlas thing, and God, that is so bizarre. What's going on with that whole comment, and all the talk about aliens and USOs, and it's so weird. It just harkens back to that Vernon von Braun. What's her name? That talked to was his secretary, and what she said, he told her that this would happen, that this whole thing about asteroids and comets and everything, that we would have to have space-based weapons to somehow defend against the asteroids, and then eventually it would turn into our space-based programs would have to defend against aliens. And he said it would all be a lie. This was Vernon von Braun. I mean, you have to take that. I got the video posted, of her talking about it. And she knew him. She knew him for the last 4 years of his life. I think he probably told her a lot of stuff because he probably liked her or something, in his old age. I bet you that was why he did, totally, completely shared everything that because he told her a lot of stuff. Did you see that interview? I forgot her name. Her name is Carol. But, well, let me look at some of your comments before I go. I am really tired. I'm sitting here about to fall asleep. I was trying to keep my focus while I was talking to Jeff, but I'm so tired. I need to get to sleep. Yeah, he passed away in the 70s, I know. And it's interesting, yeah. Crowley, Jack Parsons, and Hubbard, yep, they did. That's a whole topic that I've gotten into in the past, too, that whole Crowley and Jack Parsons. Interesting stuff there. And just wanted to thank Jeff for calling in again, and all of you guys for being here. And hopefully, nothing really bad does happen, but I'm going to tell you, we need to keep our faith and our focus, man. I think that the door on the ark has closed, and I do think that the waters are rising. Remember, I told you guys that the ark door closed on the 8th, and it was right on that 8th is when all this stuff happened with the Congress and the whole bill, and they were saying it. I'm just telling you that just keep your heart right with the Lord and be involved in what we're doing. I do believe that God has blessed what we're doing, and the body of Christ, if you are one of His, you should be a part and involved on a deeper level. We have other ways you can get involved. We got the BP Ministries channel. We do daily. We try to do daily. It's not always daily, but we do the devotionals and the scripture readings and conversations that are a little more in depth on that topic. And it would be, I think it would do your soul well, and might bring some peace into your heart as well, especially with all the things that are happening in the world. So make an effort to be there. We did a broadcast today. If you want to check that out, just go to BP Ministries channel. You can just type it in, BP Ministries, and you should find it. The last video that we did was today. It was really good. So if you missed it, go over there and check it out. And in the meantime, get some sleep, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get some sleep. I'm really tired. I'm about to fall asleep here. So God bless you guys. Have a great evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, the Lord willing, and we'll be covering whatever else is going down. Hopefully